Wednesday's first video for you is first news story is about Ethiopian budget. House of People's Representatives is discussing the budget, and is there any allocation for Tigray in this budget? 786.6 billion Ethiopian birr budget is being discussed at the Ethiopian parliament. A second story is about a statement from Antony Blinken, a US Secretary of State, who spoke an hour ago about humanitarian situation in Ethiopia. Thirdly, very important news story. We know that more than a week ago, Tigray government released more than 4,000 ENDF prisoners of war, ENDF soldiers. Where are they? And lastly, viewers, former Under Secretary General of UN Humanitarian Affairs, Mark Lowcock, a few hours ago made some revelations that Ethiopian government blocked the declaration of famine in Tigray. We have a video clip of Mark Lowcock for you, who was replaced in May, I think, last year, and Martin Griffith was appointed as new head of humanitarian affairs of the UN. Firstly, viewers, Ethiopian budget is being discussed at the parliament session, which is underway. 11th session of House of People's Representatives is underway, and Ahmed Shide is sharing details of the budget. 786.6 billion Ethiopian birr budget has been tabled. Debate is underway. The budget has 16.6% increase in comparison with the last year's regular and supplementary budgets combined. Now, question is, federal government allocates money for subsidies to Tigray. How much of this budget is it has been allocated for Tigray? Firstly, what we have learned is that the government intends to give 209 billion Ethiopian birr as subsidies to regions. Oromia will get 71 billion Ethiopian birrs. Amhara 44 billion Ethiopian birrs. SNNPR 26.6. Somali region 20.5. Southwest region 6.4. Afar 6.2. BG Benishangul 3.7. Sidama 8.4, Harari 1.5 billion, Gambela 2.4, Addis Ababa 3.2. What will Tigray get? Tigray will receive subsidy of 12 billion Ethiopian birr. So money has been allocated to be given as subsidy to Tigray. Question is, will Tigray government receive 12 billion Ethiopian birrs? How will federal government spend the subsidies in Tigray? Will the subsidies be spent through federal institutions, through aid agencies? That's not clear. But a positive development that Ethiopian federal government has allocated 12 billion Ethiopian birrs for Tigray region, as there are allocations for other regions too. A second news story is about a statement from Antony Blinken, US Secretary of State, who spoke just an hour ago. What did he say? He shared some details about humanitarian aid deliveries to northern part of Ethiopia. He said that in the last 7 days, 1,100 trucks made it to the areas in Amhara, Afar and Tigray. where aid is needed. And all the parties should build on this momentum. So overall, Antony Blinken is showing optimism that humanitarian situation is improving. Problem is that we cannot compare Tigray and Amhara, or Tigray and Afar. Tigray is still under siege. We know that fuel supplies are restricted. Yesterday, Tigray shared some details. 25,000, I think, metric tons of aid is lying undistributed in Mekelle because there is no fuel. Situation in Amhara, Afar, yes, there is need of aid there as well, but regions are not under siege. There is no dire fuel shortage like we are seeing in Tigray. Tigray needs fuel as well. Without fuel, these aid trucks, these supplies will not be able to be delivered to the people in need. There are several questions, and there are then other issues like shortage of medicine, shortage of then communication, blackout and other issues. So Tigray is facing lots of other issues as well, which are not being faced by Amhara and Afar region. Having said that, it does not mean that Amhara, Afar regions should not be prioritized. Yes, all regions should be given aid, but Tigray needs more. It needs more of government actions. Will the parties build on the momentum? Well, one aspect of this conflict is being neglected by international community, and that is Tigray-Eritrea conflict. If there is no peace between Tigray and Eritrea, we could see start of new escalation, and all these humanitarian aid supplies will not have the impact which they should have. So that is why I think IC should try to start some sort of dialogue between Tigray and Eritrea. Tigray-Eritrea should come close for lasting peace in this region. And obviously, the issue of Western Tigray is unresolved too. Yes, delivery of aid will have some impact, but core issues need to be resolved as well. Thirdly, viewers, where are ENDF POWs released by Tigray more than a week ago? Tigray announced the release of more than 4,000 ENDF prisoners of war. Among them, more than 400 were women. And then we saw a statement from Ethiopian government. It said that the released people were relatives of ENDF officials, and most of them, they were relatives of ENDF officials. They were civilians, not ENDF members. But where are they now? International media, international agencies, they have not been given access to them. What we have heard is that they are being kept in custody in Afar region, in zone 1 of Afar region. Alidar Wareda, Swala is the name of the place. Swala is the name of the place. Alidar Wareda, zone 1 of Afar, where these newly released ENDF POWs are in detention, you can say. So far, Red Cross or any other international organizations have no access to these POWs. If the Ethiopian government claims that the released people are not ENDF officials, or most of them, then these released people should be accessible to media, to Red Cross and other organizations, so that they could be interviewed. Who are they? And will these ENDF soldiers like to join ENDF again or not? That is also a question. They should not be coerced into rejoining Ethiopian National Defense Force. But keeping in view the unemployment, In Ethiopia, obviously, these soldiers will once again join Ethiopian national. But at least they should be accessible to aid organizations and to media as well. Lastly, viewers, last news story is about a statement by Mark Lowcock. Mark Lowcock is a former Under-Secretary General of UN's Humanitarian Affairs. He was leading humanitarian activities of UN agencies across the world last year. When Tigray conflict broke out, he was the head of humanitarian affairs of the UN. And in, I think, May last year, he quit. And in an interview a few hours ago, he claimed that Ethiopian government tried to stop the declaration of famine in Tigray last year. Mark Lowcock says that there were indications that there was famine in Tigray last year. There were three criteria, like proportion of people with no income, proportion of malnourished children, proportion of people dying. Indicators were there, but UN could not declare famine because the government created hurdles, Ethiopian government. So humanitarian situation in Tigray has been dire, has been alarming since last year when Mark Lowcock left in May last year. Take a listen to what he said. Thank you for watching.
On the famine declaration system, I mean, I think that basically the international system for famine declaration is broken. Basically, the three criteria, the proportion of people who are totally destitute, have no means of income, the proportion of young children who are acutely malnourished, the number of people dying every day, those are fine. And gathering the data and publishing that is fine. The bit of the system that's broken, though, is that to go from that data to a formal famine declaration, you have to fight your way through the Famine Review Committee, and you can be blocked by the authorities of the country that you're engaging with. And that's what's happened in Tigray. At the end of my time in the UN, it was clear to me that there was famine in Tigray. And the only reason it wasn't declared was because the Ethiopian authorities were quite effective in slowing down the whole declaration system. So, and I talked again about what to do about that in the book. I think we do need to try to find a way back into that because the current system is not